this bipartisan outpouring of grief at the passing of Colin Powell is something I find quite sickening and offensive. But like most sickening and offensive things, it deserves more scrutiny, and it can tell us a lot about how the propaganda matrix and the kind of engine grease of empire actually works. This guy was their dude. He was a beloved servant of both wings of the war party, and people use this opportunity to rewrite their history. People in power, that is. And, you know, we can send condolences to his family. Supposedly we're all brought up well by mom and dad and taught not to speak ill of the dead. In the first place, that doesn't apply to public figures because they can't be protected from their own actions and legacy with false adulation. And secondly, it can't apply to their legacy and their deeds. And it also, a third thing that doesn't usually come up is that it serves as a massive opportunity phase for the propaganda artists of the established order to take advantage of that grief period as a time when they can jump in and use the mourning and the sense of adulation and the muted dissent required by civil society to just lie and keep lying. And so in that sense, we are doubly committed, not committed, required to counter that propaganda and those lies, because all we have is our own media and our own microphone. The international pro-imperialist media and the corporate media will just spout the same lies, and that's a very dangerous thing. So I do, obviously, as a human, I can quote John Donne with the best of them and say that any man's death diminishes me, for I am a part of humankind. But I'm not going to be standing around singing Abide With Me at his funeral. This is a guy who was one of the earliest cover-up criminals in the My Lai massacre. You know, when he was barely 30 years old, he said that the letter written by a soldier was, probably not reliable because the U.S. Military had great relations with the Vietnamese people. And then when he was actually Secretary of State, he actually told Larry King that, these things happen in war. But then he was very quick to say that they were deplorable, of course, and it all happened before he got there. Never admitted his true role and his true allegiance, and then, of course, doubled down. That's what they do. They always double down if they're left in this cesspool of rotating jobs and assignments. Became Secretary of State and made an even bigger mockery of truth as a more obsequious servant of empire with what we call the Vial episode, going to the UN with that stunt. It can only be called a stunt, with holding up a vial of nothing and going on and on with what he knew at the time. That's important to point out. They all knew that they were lying. It was a lie about Hussein, having weapons of mass destruction or the ability to deliver the chemical weapons in 45 minutes over London. All of that stuff were lies that cost millions of people their lives and caused unbelievable destruction, and is still causing massive suffering, not only around the world, but here in the core of the imperialist center, because we spent trillions of dollars wasted. Not wasted for us, of course. It wasn't a waste of money to Halliburton and all the other corporations that benefited so handsomely from it, but it didn't go to the things that government's supposed to do for its own people. That's why China has high-speed rail and we don't. That's why so much of the world has free health care and we don't. That's why most of the world has free education and we don't. That's the connection. There's always a connection between empire, between the viciousness and the murderous assault of the imperial juggernaut on the global south and what happens here at home. And Colin Powell's funeral is the epicenter of the attempt to whitewash that reality. And I think it is fitting that he was one of the early whitewashers of the My Lai massacre, because this whole funeral is another opportunity for empire and the criminals in both sides of the war party to come together to realize their shared interests, which are inimical to the interests of the people of this country and the people of the world, and say how great we are and what a great loss this is, and pat each other on the back and rewrite history. We cannot let them do it.